Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shivani, for what you said. I'm incredibly grateful for the support that you and others from the 2024 intake have given me, and I'm very proud of your support. And Grant, thank you so very, very much. Your experience is really missed around the cabinet table, and I'm incredibly grateful for you to be part of Team Cleverly. And we must make sure that we get the experience that we lost at the last general election, and the new MPs elected for the first time, and those fantastic candidates who were not elected this year. We must get them on the government benches once again after the next general election. And to do that, we need voters to see that the Conservative Party is focused on them and not just focused on ourselves. The parliamentary party needs to lead by example. We must be unified. We must be disciplined. And unity is not the easy option. It is the harder option. But we can choose to unite, or we can choose to stay in opposition. Because people don't vote for divided parties. They don't trust divided parties. They don't even listen to divided parties. So we must unite if we want the British people to listen to us again. So when they are fed up, as they inevitably will be, with Starmer's inept, high taxing, red tape loving, big state, crony-filled government, they will look to us again to be the change that they want to see in this country. Now, I've spoken on behalf of the government for 6 years. Now I plan to take us back into government. I've been a team player under 4 different prime ministers, but now I plan to lead the team. And I've defended other people's decisions and policies, but now I plan to make those policies. And today, I will set out my vision for this great country, and I'll show why I am uniquely suited to unite the party, to win at the next general election, and to deliver for the British people once again. We need to recognise that it's not enough for a Conservative leader just to believe in Conservative values. It's not enough just to state those Conservative values. We need to sell Conservative values to the country once again. Because our party is at its best when it provides clear and a positive vision for voters, when we provide the right solutions for the challenges that our country and our world face. Let's look back through the history of our great party. Robert Peel saw inequality. He saw the inequality between those with the wealth to buy staff to protect them and the poor who could not. So he created the Metropolitan Police to protect the poor. Disraeli saw injustice. He saw the injustice of children doing dangerous work, drinking disease-ridden water. So he brought in the Factory Act and the Public Health Act. Churchill saw fascism and stood up to it. Thatcher saw economic defeatism and reversed it. That decisiveness is what we need to show now, and I will. Of course, the challenges of today are different to the challenges of the past. But we must have the courage of our Conservative forebears to tackle the great problems of our time. And let me set out what I believe are the 3 great challenges that we face, that we must, and that I will, with your support, tackle head on. The first of these challenges is our deeply unstable world. Now, the warning lights were flashing red well before Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And the sad fact is that there are few reasons to believe that the world is going to be any safer or more secure anytime soon. Authoritarian regimes are increasingly trying to undermine our way of life. The freedoms that we cherish and the international rules that have kept us safe are under threat. And I have seen the threats that our country face. I have been in charge of MI6, of MI5, of GCHQ. I've been to Ukraine. I've been to Taiwan, to the Baltic, to the Caucasus. I've looked at Russian soldiers occupying land that isn't theirs. I was the first foreign minister to visit Israel after the 7th of October atrocities. Now, when Grant was Secretary of State for Defence, he set out a timetable to spend 2.5% of GDP on defence by 2030. But Starmer, in an act of vandalism, has scrapped that pledge. Now, I supported Grant when he made the bold decision then, but I will go further. And as he said, I will commit, as Prime Minister, to spend 3% of GDP on defence. Because you cannot penny pinch your way to peace. Security is delivered through strength, by planning for the worst, not hoping for the best. And we will send a signal to our enemies and our allies alike that the UK is prepared, that we will not leave the field. And just to put that commitment in perspective, we currently spend less than 2.5% of our GDP on defence, but 10 times that much on our health system, welfare system, and on pensions. Starmer says that we cannot afford to spend more on defence. I say we cannot afford not to. The second major challenge that faces us is global migration. And we must restore our credibility on this issue to win back the voters that switched to Reform and switched to the Lib Dems and Labour and those that stayed at home. As Home Secretary, I delivered the reforms that are currently cutting net migration by half. I didn't talk tough, I took action. I negotiated with the Chancellor, with the Health Secretary, with the Education Secretary, to achieve the changes in our visa regime which are currently bringing those numbers down. And we have to be more honest in our conversation about the trade-offs with regard to immigration. And that means changing how we measure our wealth. It means using GDP per capita as the metric for our economy so that the Treasury cannot mask low growth with high migration. Rising GDP overall is meaningless if the wealth per person is falling. So we need to control legal migration. And when I was Home Secretary, I did. Under my leadership, Home Office applications fell. The backlog was cleared. The grant rate came down. Deportations increased. I didn't talk tough, I took action. And when we deal with illegal migration, I stand by what I have always said. We need to have a deterrent. And as leader, as Prime Minister, I will use my contacts and my reputation with Rwanda to resurrect that incredibly important partnership. And more than that, I will rebuild a relationship so badly damaged by Labour's arrogant and callous disregard to the diplomatic niceties that bind the world. To inform the media that they were scrapping this partnership before they had the courage to inform the Rwandan government is unacceptable, and that would never have happened under my leadership. We need to recognize there are currently around 280 million people on the move globally. And so we must, of course, address why people move. We have influence on the international stage, and we must use it. At the UN, at the G20, at the G7, at the World Bank, we must, of course, tackle the drivers of mass movement: war, famine, persecution, economic failure, because in this portfolio, as in so many others, prevention is better than cure. And to those people who we do welcome into our country, we must make it clear. Our welcome comes with modest but non-negotiable conditions. Tolerance isn't something that you demand of others, it is something that you are duty-bound to give. Our laws cannot be trumped by cultural sensitivities. Play by the rules, work hard, and you can expect our thanks and support. Break the rules, abuse our hospitality, and you can expect us to take action. The third major challenge that we must address is a crisis in the confidence in capitalism. We handed Labour a growing economy, the fastest economy growth in the G7. But compared to historic levels, and indeed compared to African or Asian economic growth rates, we are not doing anywhere near well enough. We need to unlock real growth again, and we need to show young people that free markets, not planned economies, are their friend. We need to turn them into capitalists, because too many people think that high taxes help them rather than hold them down. They think that more regulation protects them rather than benefiting incumbent suppliers. Protectionism drives up costs for them, drives down choice for them, benefits the already rich and harms the aspirational poor. And I will make boosting our economic growth a defining mission of our party. And I will make sure selling the benefits of free markets to a new generation is a key part of that. Because growth does not come from more quangos and nationalising services. It comes from less red tape, lower taxes, and a dynamic leadership. And we know this is true because we have evidence. Look at Docklands under Heseltine and Margaret Thatcher, the Olympic Park under Boris, and Tees Works under Ben Houchin. What I saw on the Tees Valley was incredible, stimulating an estimated 20,000 new jobs, attracting an annual £1 billion investment into the regional and local economy. And these low tax, low regulation zones is what I want to see more of around the whole country. We used to have a one in, one out rule for regulation. But the truth is, we strayed from the path of righteousness. So we've got to get back on track, maybe even go further, having a one in, two out approach to regulation. Because we must empower the innovators and the wealth creators. Because this son of an entrepreneur will make us the party of business once again. So we need to do more to empower the private sector, not the state, to drive our economy. Ben Houchin has done exactly that in Teesside. This is the conservative economic model. And Churchill, as in so many things, was absolutely right when he said, a nation taxing its way to prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle. People will vote for Starmer's statism if they don't feel that capitalism is working for them. And for many people, especially the young, it isn't working for them. Home ownership has been a cornerstone of the Conservative Party offer since the war. And just as Margaret Thatcher enabled council tenants to buy their homes in the 1980s, we need to give young people a stake in our society and in our growing economy. That is the conservative, that is the capitalist approach. And it was right that we cut stamp duty for first-time buyers, but we should go further. It should be our mission to abolish stamp duty on homes altogether. It's a bad tax. It's a bad tax. It stifles transactions in an already illiquid housing market. It deters people from downsizing. And like all taxes, it ultimately increases the cost to buyers. And of course, we need to build lots more homes, and we will. But we should be building upwards in our cities rather than outwards. If our Georgian forebears could see the beauty in 3- and 4-story houses, then why on earth can't we? So adding an extra story to a building should enjoy a presumption of planning consent, because it would support small local businesses, would pump money into the local economy, and it would be more environmentally and aesthetically sustainable. Now, we must provide conservative answers to the problems that people face. An unstable world, global migration, and a crisis in confidence in capitalism. And we must get our act together as a party to provide the conservative solutions to these problems. The solutions of the left don't, won't, and will never work. And when they try to impose them, they harm the very people they are meant to help. So we have to do things differently. And that means being honest and realistic about the role of the state and what it can and should do and what it should not and cannot do. The state should focus on doing a few things well, not everything badly. Now, of course, only the state can provide police forces and armed forces, and both need to be effective and well-funded. And we must, and of course we will, support the people who fall on hard times or suffer from ill health. But our welfare budget has spiraled out of control, and we must bring it down, and I will bring it down. And we must also be honest about the trade-offs. We cannot nationalize all risks or eradicate all difficulties. The state should not always be the first port of call when problems arise. We should enable self-reliance, family-first resilience, and community solutions. Tax and subsidize cannot be our mantra anymore. So we must think and act like conservatives once again. Demonstrate that we understand the challenges that people in our country face now and provide the solutions to give them a brighter and better future. And we accomplished lots in government, but our divisions and our behaviour obscured our victories and amplified our mistakes. We spent too much time talking tough and not enough time taking action. We spoke lots about what we were going to do, but almost never about why we were going to do it. This is the opposite of how I have acted in my career, and it is the opposite of how I intend to lead. I will tackle the problems in front of us with conservative solutions, and I will make the UK the greatest power in Europe, strong in defence of our people, our allies, and our interests, strong in defence of our values and our principles, strong on the international stage, and secure and prosperous at home. I don't accept the shared declinism of Starmer and Farage, who both believe that our best days are behind us. Starmer thinks it was better before we left the EU. Farage thinks it was better before we joined the EU. They're both wrong. I know that our best years can be ahead of us, but only if we replace this useless Labour government. And in order to win again, we need a leader who can unite the party. And I'm the best place to do that. Because I'm the best place to do that because to command loyalty, you have to have displayed loyalty. And I have always served the leader of the day, never briefed against colleagues, and focused relentlessly on delivering for the British people. And in order to win again, we need to unite around conservative principles. And I'm the best place to do that, because I've never chopped and changed my political position or philosophy. I have actually reformed public services. I've actually cut spending. I've driven better performance. When I led the London Fire Authority, when I led at the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, when I led at the Home Office, and as Grant said, when I led as chairman of the party, helping to deliver a record majority at the 2019 general election. And in order to win again, we need a leader who can communicate with Conservative voters. Those voters that we kept, those voters that we lost, and those who will be voting for us perhaps for the first time ever at the next general election. And I know that I'm the best placed to do that. I'm the most experienced and effective communicator that the party has got. And you cannot communicate your policies or our values if you hide from the media. So I know that I can unite the Conservative Party with sound conservative principles, delivered in a positive, optimistic, and energetic way to show that we can get us back to where we need to be. I know that I'm the best placed to lead our party as leader of the opposition and then our country as Prime Minister. And I know that I can lead us to that better future. And the time is now. There is no time to lose. So let's get to work. Thank you.